Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Fizikas Batletope, and today is the third segment towards learning about mental health disorders. And today I'm so stoked, I'm so excited because we are going to dive into personality disorders. And these are the type of disorders that I am a bit I have more interest in learning about them. I find them more interesting compared to other disorders. So I had such a great time reviewing the content. It did take me quite a while because I was going through all of them. You will see as time goes that there's a few of them and they're differentiated in clusters. The contents for today, we are going to talk about personality disorders. I will just give a brief overview of what personality disorders are as per the DSM-5 text revision. We will also go through a brief overview of the three clusters of personality disorders. Cluster A will include paranoid personality disorder, schizoid, and schizotypal personality disorder. We will also go through cluster B as listed below, cluster C, and then that will bring us to the end of the presentation. Okay. As per the DSM-5 text revision, personality disorders are classified or defined rather as enduring patterns of inner experience and behavior that significantly deviate from the cultural and social norms and expectations of the patient's life. They are also pervasive and inflexible. These typically start during adolescence or early adulthood rather. And these disturbances are stable over time and they lead to distress or impairment. Personality disorders are classified into three clusters. They are grouped into three clusters based on their descriptive similarities. Cluster A is typically termed as the odd or eccentric disorders, and individuals with these disorders often appear odd and eccentric. These include paranoid personality disorder, schizoid, as well as schizotypal personality disorder. Then secondly, we have cluster B. In cluster B, such individuals present with symptoms that appear to be dramatic, emotional, erratic, and these include antisocial personality disorder, borderline, histrionic, and narcissistic personality disorder. Lastly, we have cluster C, which is termed as the anxious/fearful disorders, and individuals under this cluster often appear to have anxiety and to be fearful. And we have avoidant personality disorder, dependent, as well as obsessive compulsive personality disorder. It is also very important to note that this clustering system, although it can be extremely useful for us in research and educational purposes, it does have limitations, and it isn't consistently validated. And there are opportunities or times where, for instance, you might find that an individual presents with symptoms from two of the clusters, or that two personality disorders from different clusters may co-occur and vary in intensity. All right, so now we will move over to the first cluster, which is cluster A, personality disorders, and we will start with paranoid personality disorders. This is also termed as PPD, right? It is defined as a pervasive distrust and suspiciousness of others, interpreting their motives as malevolent, and it starts during the early adulthood of a person's lifespan, and these symptoms need to be present in a variety of contexts. And in order to diagnose a patient with this personality disorder, a manifestation of 4 of the following symptoms need to happen. So number 1, the individual is suspicious, suspects without a sufficient basis that other people are either exploiting them or harming them or trying to deceive them in some shape or form without any evidence for that. The individual may be preoccupied with doubts, feelings of untrustworthiness of friends, doubting associates, colleagues, even romantic partners. A person may also be reluctant to share information about their life, information about what they're going through, share just stuff to friends because they're afraid that people can use this against them. They also find hidden demeaning threats and meanings into events and remarks from people. So they typically read a lot between the lines and find things that are not typically there, and they persistently bear grudges. So they find themselves holding on to things that were said or done to them. They don't forgive easily or move past things. Also perceive attacks on their character or reputation that typically are not apparent to others, and they are so quick to counterattack, So the slightest thing happens and they're already ready to come with a comeback, And lastly, we have here number 7, that they have the recurrent suspicions, as we said in the first point, but now in the 7th point, these suspicions are recurrent and they are without any evidence, no justification, and also as I said, it also continues towards this infidelity, and suspiciousness also extends towards their spouses and their sexual partners, their intimate relationships. Also for category B, it's also important to note that this does not only occur during a schizophrenia or a bipolar disorder or depressive disorder with psychotic features, or another psychotic disorder should not be attributable to the psychological effects of another medical condition. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to watch a short video. We're going to watch a short video where we will see a client presenting with such symptoms, and specifically his symptoms are of distrust towards his significant other, and you will also note that during the video he's also going to make a slight remark that will show that he also shows a little bit of distrust towards the therapist. All right, let's get into it.
Tend to be provocative in their interpersonal behavior. They tend to be irascible in their mood. They are defensive, but in an angry and hostile way much of the time. So their suspiciousness does not lead them to aversiveness, but rather contentiousness and often belligerence. Some have what might be called mini delusions, small, minor delusions, but nothing grossly pathological.
So you said you're from New York.
New York.
And what is it that brought you here today?
It wasn't me, I'll tell you that.
Well, who was it?
I was ordered to come here by the courts.
Uh-huh. And their reason?
Not my reason, my wife's reason.
Uh-huh. And hers? Her reason?
Because I won't give her the money that she doesn't deserve.
Is this for alimony?
Of course, what else would it be for?
Uh-huh. And why doesn't she deserve it?
Because she's the one that's wrong, it's not me.
Okay, tell me about that. How is she wrong?
Well, she was fooling around.
Uh-huh. How long was she involved?
Since before I was married. I don't even know if my children are mine. Why should I give them any money?
Okay. When were you first sure of this?
I've known for a long time. It's not a question of when.
Okay. How did you find out?
I just knew it. The way she acted all the time when she would come home or I would come home, like she was afraid of me already, like she had done something wrong.
So it's mostly a feeling.
She tricked me into it. She just wanted to keep me hanging around so I could take care of the kids so she could just go on and fool around. What did you mean by that?
By what?
By that grunt. Like, you don't believe me. Why are you looking at me like that?
How am I looking at you?
Like you don't believe me. Listen, man, I tell you, She's the one that you should be examining. Why don't you ask me anything about her?
Am I right in thinking that you would rather not be here?
Would you want to be here? I guess you do. You have to be here. Wouldn't that be great if I just got up right now and walked away? Then they would think I was really crazy.
How do you feel right now?
Why are you asking me all these questions? What do you care?
Is there something over there?
I keep hearing things like there's something over there, like this is being recorded or something. What is that thing over there on the wall? Why is there a curtain on the wall? There's no window there. Is that a mirror? You guys are all the same. You just like to watch every little twitch, every little look. You think you can tell exactly what a person is thinking or what they're doing.
Go. All right, so now we're going to move over to the second Cluster A personality disorder, which is Schizoid personality disorder. And this is defined as a pervasive pattern of detachment from social relationships and a restricted range of expression of emotions in interpersonal settings. And this starts during early adulthood, and these symptoms also present in a variety of contexts. And manifestation occurs with 4 or more of the indicated symptoms. So the first would be the lack of desire or enjoyment in close relationships, including being part of a family. So they typically don't even want to be part of a family. They always choose solitary activities where they have to work alone with minimum interaction with other people, and they have little if any interest in having sexual experiences or sexual partners, and they take a pleasure in a few, if any, activities, and also that they lack friends or confidants. Additionally, they appear to not be fazed or affected by either praise or criticism of others, and they show emotional coldness and detachment. So typically just a flat affect and coldness, no emotional reactivity. So yes, as I said, detachment from social relationships and a restricted range of expression of emotions in multiple settings. Individuals with this disorder appear to lack the desire for intimacy, and they seem indifferent to opportunities to create close relationships with other people, and they don't seem to gain much satisfaction from being part of a family. They prefer to spend time by themselves rather than being with other people. They often appear to be socially isolated or loners most of the time, even in workspaces, even in family, even in friends, and they always choose hobbies or activities that are solitary, where they only have to do things individually on their own. All right, now, so what we're going to do is we are going to watch a video of a lady who has been diagnosed with schizoid personality disorder. In this video, you will see that she appears aloof. She appears very cold and detached from the interviewer, and she doesn't show much emotions. So you will see this restricted emotional expression. You will also see the indifference in praise or criticism. So let's get a watch.
What we want to keep in mind with regard to the schizoid is the flatness of affect, the bland quality with which they express their emotions. Typically, well, they seem to be relatively indifferent to the interests and needs of others. They live a relatively isolated kind of life, not anxious, not tense, but one that is disconnected and detached in many ways from interpersonal and close relationships. They tend to be somewhat lacking in energy, they seem somewhat lethargic, and what we want to keep in mind is this general flat affect, indifference, distancing, quietly being pretty much on their own. So has it always been just you and your mother?
No.
No? Do you have brothers and sisters, or?
Yeah.
Father? Did you grow up with a father?
Yeah. I grew up with my father, yeah.
But he doesn't live there now.
No.
Like the people you work with?
Yeah, I like the people.
Uh-huh. Any of them your friends?
Yeah.
You do things after work, or?
I go home or I go shopping,
Uh-huh.
or groceries, or
Uh-huh. But you don't spend time with the people you work with outside of work.
no,
Would you like to?
no.
Uh-huh. Do you ever go out on the weekend?
Yeah, I'll go shopping or the movies or I'll stay at home
Uh-huh.
and watch TV or read or
Okay, so now we will move over to schizotypal personality disorder. This is defined as a pervasive pattern of social and interpersonal deficits that are marked by an acute discomfort and reduced capacity for close relationships, as well as by cognitive or perceptual distortions and eccentricities of behavior and thoughts. And these starts during the early adulthood, and the symptoms persist over a variety of contexts. And in order for a person to be diagnosed with these personality disorders, a manifestation of 5 of the following symptoms has to be present. First, ideas of reference. Number 2, odd beliefs of magical thinking that influence their behavior and thoughts. Forms of superstitiousness, believing that they're clairvoyant, they have the sixth sense, or telepathy, being able to communicate with God, some type of unusual perception and ideas. Number 3, we have unusual perceptual experiences, including bodily illusions, odd thinking and speech, being very metaphorical, being very over elaborate and stereotypical, suspiciousness or paranoid ideation, inappropriate or constricted affect. The behavior of the individual appears to be odd and eccentric or just peculiar. A lack of friendships or confidants other than close relatives, and having this excessive anxiety that doesn't diminish, social anxiety rather, that doesn't stop or diminish with familiarity of people. So it is very persistent.
I understand that you had a change in your work at the library from working back in the stacks to now working out at the front desk. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me more about that? What that's been like for you?
Well, my supervisor is pretty busy, and he doesn't like to be bothered. he already thinks I'm not suited for the job.
He said something to you about that?
No, not exactly.
Uh-huh.
But when I'm with him, I can sense that my customers have complained.
How is that?
Well, when they ask me something, I tell them. But I don't make small talk. I guess I've always been a Pluto, out beyond the rest, encircling, ever watching, and seeing more in the darkness than the rest.
I talked to your sister briefly, and she said that she hasn't really noticed any changes in you, that you're pretty much the way you usually are.
Constancy is a virtue.
Are you friends with any of your coworkers?
Well, I did have lunch once with some of them. But I've been reading such depressive books lately that when I think about them, it upsets their meal. They can feel my feelings. So, I eat by myself.
Have any of your coworkers been helpful to you recently about this move from the stacks to the front desk?
Well, we don't talk.
If you do have something you want to talk about, with whom do you talk?
I guess the last person was my college roommate.